Welcome to Patscast. I'm Brad Whitaker. I want to talk about the quarterback situation in New England. And I know the consensus at the moment seems to be the Patriots are going to take a quarterback with the number 3 overall pick, either Jaden Daniels, but in all likelihood, Drake May. It sounds like Daniels is probably going to the Commanders, or maybe even J.J. McCarthy moves in there and they prioritize him over Drake May. But here is an idea of exploring it in a little bit of a different fashion, and that starts with Chicago Bears quarterback Justin Fields. Now, I haven't been very high on Justin Fields. He, frankly, has not been a very good quarterback his 3 seasons in Chicago. Part of the reason a lot of Patriots fans really like him is he absolutely destroyed us 2 seasons ago on Monday Night Football, really extending plays with his legs, and they just absolutely blew out the Patriots. A very bad Chicago Bears team blew out the Patriots, and we think a little more highly of him because that probably was the best game of his career. And Justin Fields went into the season, struggled a bit early, then mid-season really started playing pretty well, but then kind of closed bad late. And we all know he has the tools to be a decent mobile quarterback, a strong arm, but he has issues doing the things you expect an NFL quarterback to do. Go through the progression, be accurate throwing the football. His decision-making isn't always the best. Maybe bails on plays a little bit early, a little too dependent on his legs, but still potentially has a very high ceiling. And it sounds like the Chicago Bears, understandably, are going to bring in Caleb Williams with the first overall pick, move on from Justin Fields, who's in the last year of his rookie contract, not going to extend the expensive 5th-year option, and, of course, going to go with Caleb Williams for cheap, probably a better quarterback, and then you have him long-term for at least 4 years. So the Chicago Bears are interested in shipping off Justin Fields. Now, heading into the offseason, many thought, hey, Justin Fields is probably going to cost the team a 3rd-round draft pick or something like that. And a lot of Patriots fans were like, hey, we'll give up a 3rd for a guy like Justin Fields. I mean, can't be worse than Mac Jones, right? He was picked a few spots ahead of Mac Jones. Mac Jones obviously had a good rookie season, but really dropped off a cliff after that. And Justin Fields has been mediocre to kind of bad ever since, but still has a lot more upside than most think of Mac Jones and a lot more tools being able to use his legs. And I think it is worth the Patriots at least considering trading a draft pick. But here's the thing. Not a 3rd round pick. I don't think the Chicago Bears are going to get a 3rd round pick for Justin Fields. There just doesn't seem to be a market for the guy right now, at least that high up in the draft. So right now you're looking at, if a team is going to deal for Fields, it's probably going to be a 5th, 6th, or maybe even 7th round draft choice. And that puts the Patriots in a position to say, look, we don't love Fields, but right now our quarterback is Jacoby Brissett or Bailey Zappi. And maybe we put Fields on that roster, 1 year on his contract, not going to be very expensive, in a prove-it type situation, and don't necessarily give him the starting job, but let him compete for it and see what happens. And look, obviously the Patriots missed out on Calvin Ridley. Even if they sign a Tyron Smith to a lot of money or trade for a big name receiver like a Higgins or an Allen or an Ayuk or one of those guys and extend them, they're still probably going to have a lot of salary cap space to work with, which means they can afford to bring in a guy like Justin Fields, who's not going to really cost you all that much, and still have some leftover space to bring in some weapons around him, maybe reinforce that offensive line, bring in some of the more second-tier free agent wide receivers, and obviously build through the draft as well. And here's the idea, okay? You don't take a quarterback at 3rd overall. And I'm going to suggest, as I have many times, draft Marvin Harrison Jr., and you got your number 1 receiver for years to come for cheap, that you don't have to spend $23 million a year on like Calvin Ridley, who's instantly going to be a lot better than Calvin Ridley. Or maybe you trade back, and you can still get a Rome Odunze, a Malik Neighbors, one of those top receivers, and draft another tackle somewhere in the 1st round in all likelihood, and build that way. There's a lot of ways the Patriots could do it, but you trade for Justin Fields, and then you get one of the rookie quarterbacks in the 2nd round, probably a Michael Penix Jr. or a Bo Nix, or maybe you wait a little bit longer and bring in Spencer Rattler. So you bring in a young rookie, you have Jacoby Brissett, you have Justin Fields, And you have Bailey Zappi. Yes, that's 4 quarterbacks, but that is a decent quarterback room. Nobody who's going to jump off the page. But you split reps between the 4 of them in OTAs, in training camp, and you see who the best man is. One of those guys is going to break through. I mean, even Bailey Zappi, like, you can't write him off, right? Like, he's working really hard this offseason, been posting workout videos with Demario Douglas and Tyquan Thornton. And Tyquan Thornton, who we've all written off, gained a lot of muscle this offseason. Like, he looks pretty good. Like, he has the build of Devontae Parker, but he's much faster than Devontae Parker, can separate. You know, we know his 40 time is one of the best ever. And it's not, that doesn't really translate to the field because he's not a great route runner. He can't really shift on a dime. But hey, a bigger Tyquan Thornton, maybe that's a guy who could be your 3rd or 4th best receiver. But I'm going off on a tangent here. I'm focusing on the quarterback situation. I'm not going to get too excited about Tyquan Thornton. But don't write out Bailey Zappi because he is working hard and had a bad training camp and really played above expectations, even though he had a few not so great games against who was it? Well, the last game of the season against the Jets and the game against the Chargers where they really didn't put up any points. But Bailey Zappi had a great game at Pittsburgh, a great game at Denver. He showed that, hey, if he has some protection, maybe some weapons, maybe he's not a bad option there. Jacoby Brissett seems to be the bridge guy, the starting quarterback right now. Then you have Justin Fields, who's the wild card there. You're not going to be spending a lot of money on him. Maybe he wins the job. And then you have the young rookie quarterback, Penix, Nix, Radler, who sits on the bench in all likelihood for a year, or he just outperforms everyone in training camp and is obviously the number 1 guy, and then you cut one of these quarterbacks. But the Patriots have held 4 quarterbacks on the roster before. I mean, they did it with Tom Brady as a rookie. They were so impressed with Brady, they put him at the number 4 spot. He slowly climbed his way up to the backup role before he ultimately took over for Drew Bledsoe. And again, nobody jumping off a page there, but a quarterback room, Bailey Zappi, Jacoby Brissett, Justin Fields, and a young rookie quarterback. Let them all compete. Let them all split reps. And then you get halfway through training camp, you have an idea of who that top guy is going to be. And then you start giving more reps to the top 2 guys as you head into the preseason. I don't think that's a terrible idea, especially if those quarterbacks are throwing to a Marvin Harrison Jr., or you can get a T. Higgins or a Brandon Ayuk or a Keenan Allen via trade. Or you do really well in the draft. Maybe you get a Xavier Legette, a Roman Wilson, the guy out of Texas who I've been watching a lot of tape on. His name's not coming to me right now, but looks really good. Might be the best receiver in the draft. Kind of a real hidden gem. What's it? Mitchell, right? Is it Aiden Mitchell? No, Aiden Mitchell is an actor. It is. I am embarrassing myself here. Who is the guy? Adonai Mitchell. All right, I was pretty close. Yes, but he looks very good. So there's a lot of depth in this draft. Different guys that you could potentially take. The Pearsall guy out of Florida. There's some also really good tight ends that could learn from guys like Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper. You can still make this work, right? And it's disappointing they didn't get Calvin Ridley, but I'm not disappointed the Patriots didn't spend 22 plus million for a guy who really isn't even a number 1, right? So look, that's my idea. I don't think it will work, right? Like, I think it's a risk, but I think it's a low risk. Like, you're not spending a lot of money on Justin Fields. You have the cap space to trade for him. If he costs you a sixth round pick, like, what are you losing, right? You just got a 6th round pick for Mac Jones. You're basically swapping Mac Jones for Justin Fields, who has a lot more upside, and you're getting a guy who was drafted ahead of Mac Jones, who's presumably better. And with the right weapons, the right coaching, the right protection, maybe there's something you get out of him, and maybe he does earn the starting job. And suddenly you go into the season, he improves leaps and bounds. He's comeback player of the year. Who knows? And then you consider signing him long term because, wow, nobody expected Justin Fields to be this good. Again, I wouldn't bet on it. I think it doesn't work out, but it's not going to cost you. It is a low risk, potentially high reward situation. Boom or bust. I think you go for it if you're the Patriots. If it's only going to cost you a 6th round pick, why not go for it? But let me know what you think in the comments below. If it is a 6th, 5th, 7th round pick, do you think it's worth the Patriots trading that away getting a guy like Justin Fields to compete in that quarterback room and potentially earn the starting job. Again, I'm not talking about a third round pick. I'm not talking about extending him or spending a lot of money. I'm talking about bringing him in and just seeing if there is something there. I think it's worth it in my opinion, but let me know in the comments below if you disagree or if you have another idea in mind or you're really sold on Drake May or JJ McCarthy, or you think Jaden Daniels will slip to number 3 and you can snag him there. But I like the idea of drafting Harrison, trading for Fields, getting one of the second-tier quarterbacks, and then really building up that way. You're going to have a lot of cap space, a lot to work with. But we'll see what happens. And ideally, Patriots are able to sign Tyron Smith, really overspend. They can afford to overspend, offer him a year more than other teams, offer him $5 million more a year than other teams, and, build a lot of incentives in there. So hopefully if he stays on the field, it's worth it. And otherwise, you're not spending a lot of money, but I mean, he's not getting a deal that's not incentive laden. So, would really like to see Tyron Smith come to the Patriots. Hopefully, there's some breaking news there in the coming hours or the coming days. We'll be here at Patscast to cover it. But subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with your friends, and we'll be back with more Patriots breaking news as it comes in.